As I point out in my book, Laura Ingalls Wilder, A Writer's Life, Lane's family's financial plight was probably no better or no worse than most others in Wright County, Missouri during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. In fact, most Ozark families from this period were cash poor. So what do Lane's memories of her family's extreme poverty say or reveal about her credibility? Can we accept Lane's account on face value? Is she a reliable narrator? These aren't easy questions with clear-cut answers. Throughout her career, Lane demonstrated what her biographer William Holtz described as an easy ethical slide, embellishing the facts of a story, changing key details, adding entirely new plot twists and character developments to make a story either more marketable or emotionally satisfying. Let me give you one brief example. In 1917, Lane began work on a biography of the novelist Jack London, author of such books as White Fang and Call of the Wild, for Sunset Magazine. This assignment was an important career move for her, landing an assignment with such a prestigious publication. The article would be serialized over several issues of the magazine, and if all went well, Lane could sell the rights of the series again and have it published in book form. But even before the series ran its course in Sunset, London's widow and sister registered their dismay with Lane's approach. They accused Lane of fictionalizing and sensationalizing the facts of London's life. What Jack London himself wrote about his own life is mixed with fiction, but you are supposed to be writing his biography. From the beginning, however, Lane herself described the London series, even to Jack London's widow, as a semi-biography, a sort of freehand sketch of his entire life. Later, Lane added, "Of course, the whole thing is fictionalized." Despite the London family's displeasure, when the book offer indeed came through, Lane contacted Mrs. London again, hoping to get her approval for the book, or at least reach a settlement so the book could be published. Century Publishing Company offers me 15% royalty. The royalty is not as high as I have been offered, but I like the connection with Century. I like the connection, indeed, more than the money, Lane wrote. London's widow was unmoved by Lane's appeal, and ultimately, Century decided not to publish the fictionalized biography of Jack London. But it did offer Lane a book deal, and she published Diverging Roads, an autobiographical novel about her experiences in California and her marriage to Gillette Lane. What's important here is that Lane was rewarded for mixing fact and fiction, in both nonfiction and in fiction. And as we'll see later in the course, it's something she did throughout her career and encouraged her mother to do as well. So, given this history, it's difficult to know how reliable Lane's autobiographical writing really is. And this applies to her letters and diary entries as well, particularly when she was writing about her own mother. Publicly, Lane wrote things like this: "My mother loves courage and beauty and books. My father loves nature, birds and trees and curious stones, and both of them love the land. They gave me something of all of these loves, and whenever I do something that I really can't help sitting down and admiring, I've always come plump up against the fact that I never would have done it if I hadn't been wise enough to pick these particular parents." In letters to Wilder, Lane often called her mother Dearest Mama Bess and signed them lovingly Rose. In her diaries and letters to friends, on the other hand, Lane complained, "My mother cannot learn to have any reliance upon my financial judgment, or promises. It's partly, I suppose, because she still thinks of me as a child. She even hesitates to let me have the responsibility of bringing up the butter from the spring, for fear I won't do it quite right. This in 1925, when Rose was 39. We have to remember, however, that while diaries and letters can be revealing, they often reflect less about the subjects of any given entry and more about the mood, feelings, and emotions of the writer on any given day. Lane used her diaries and letters not simply to record the facts of her life, but to record the highs and lows of her emotional experiences. In the pages of her diary, Lane ranted, criticized, validated, aspired, and even blew off steam. And her diaries present only one point of view, her own. So, like most mother-daughter relationships, Wilder and Lane's was complicated. Their relationship was also complicated by Lane's complex and often fragile mental health. This journal entry, when Lane was 46, isn't unusual. I am old. I am alone, a failure, forgotten here in this dull, alien place. I am losing my teeth. It is strange that the horror of dying makes one want to die. Throughout her lifetime, Lane struggled with depression and violent mood swings. She described herself as a manic depressive. Today, perhaps, she might be considered bipolar. But what is clear is that by the time Lane was a senior in high school, she was so unhappy with life in the Ozarks that she left Mansfield in 1903 and completed high school in Crowley, Louisiana, living with her aunt, her father's sister, E.J., or Eliza Jane Wilder. We'll meet Eliza Jane Wilder more fully later on when we discuss her fictional counterpart in Little Town on the Prairie in part 2 of this class. But it appears that the real E.J. was a very strong-willed, capable, and self-confident woman, and her niece Rose were kindred spirits. Rose graduated from high school in 1904, moved back to Mansfield briefly, and then launched her career as what she calls in old hometown, a bachelor girl, a new woman supporting herself, building a career, living in the city, and traveling throughout the United States and beyond. From Mansfield, she moved to Kansas City and began her unusual career path.